The North Peckham project is a 30-acre development by the London Borough of Southwark. The main aim is to provide a civilised and convenient environment for urban family living.
Oh, I'd move off tomorrow. I'd move off now if they offered me something, yeah.
If council give them this any flat around here, they always reject it.
A lot of cars coming off the estate and next minute you see them set on fire.
North Peckham cost nearly £7 million to build, and now the local council want to spend £60 million altering the original design, mainly by tearing down the walkways. Of course, the people who live here want to know if the changes will work. Because whilst everyone's convinced there is something wrong with the buildings, it's quite difficult to pinpoint exactly what. After all, there are no high-rise buildings here, and they've used bricks instead of concrete. And 10 years ago, they replaced all the flat roofs with pitched tiled ones. So, is it the stairwells, is it the windows, or is it simply the size of the place that's the problem? Bill Hillier believes he's found what's to blame in the design of many modern estates. With the help of his students, he's agreed to analyse North Peckham and give his advice to the residents. But he's not going to look at the buildings. He thinks the culprit is something else. It's invisible, but it surrounds us all the time. The space between the buildings. He began studying housing estates in the early 70s, provoked by what he saw as the inhuman planning of that era. And he's reached a general conclusion about cities as a whole. The secret of their success is the pattern of space in them. So he's developed a technique for analysing space that's now beginning to be widely used. The first step in the analysis was to chop up the estate into spaces, corridors, squares, roads, and so on. Each space has its longest line of sight drawn through it. What's the next stage of the analysis?
What we ask the computer to do is to take each line and work out how many corners you would have to turn to go from that line to every other line in the whole area. In this way, the computer calculates the ease of accessibility of that line from all the others. The more accessible the line, then the computer will colour it red, or orange or yellow, according to its degree of accessibility. And the least accessible lines go down to blue and then to dark blue. We can see that in the North Peckham estate, which is here, we can see large blue areas, which are at the heart of the estate.
Over the years, Bill Hillier has done this for dozens of whole cities, and it turns out that all the old, well-established ones share similar patterns of space, like the City of London. A successful pattern in any urban area has a core of red space in the middle.
It's important that you don't find large zones of blue. In a normal urban area, we always find that the shops are on the red and orange lines.
Why is this? Well, Bill sent his researchers out onto the streets to watch how people behave. It turns out that there are always more people walking through red spaces, tailing off to very few in blue spaces. So, patterns of space control where people naturally tend to move, and this dictates where the shops and homes are, unlike North Peckham. The courtyards at ground level on the estate are where there's most crime, and so people avoid them. They're also the bluest or most badly integrated spaces. For instance, if I want to get from this court here over to that court, just there, it's not as easy as it should be. Let's try this way. Brick wall. At last. But you know, this isn't very surprising. The planners wanted to give people their own private space. But Bill argues that too much isolated space is vulnerable to crime. Similarly, all the shops on the estate are in blue spaces. Almost all have closed down because there's little natural movement past them. This means little custom and lots of crime.
And equally well acknowledged.
At a residents' meeting, Bill Hillier explained what he'd found. He also tested the council architect's plans and put forward some suggestions of his own.
Here we have the proposal currently produced by the architects to remove the upper level walkway system. It certainly is an advance, but it still leaves, if you like, this odd, worrying patch of dense blue over here. So what we've done is we tried to solve this all-important problem by bringing this line of movement into the North Peckham estate.
This might mean keeping this walkway, which the architects were planning to demolish, a plan they're now reconsidering.
It would be nice, not just to have this as a one-off thing, but as the phases are done, to see how much red and yellow we're getting, or if we're still keeping a lot of blue on the screen.
It's good, it could check kind of the theory against the practical. If you look on phase 1, which has been going now, and see how your computer predictions work in relation to what the living reality is.
There's a great deal resting on what's still just a theory about how space affects the way we live, because testing this theory won't just involve time and money, it will also alter the quality of people's lives.